Oh yeah, what's going on, Game Weepers? This is Eeks, and in today's video, 3 most broken champions for each role for patch 12.18. This is the world's patch, so to know who the best champions are going to be for you guys to pick, and you could even consider these like champion pools in a way. So for 12.18, if you want to play 3 champions in your desired role, I'd highly recommend sticking around for the whole video. And of course, guys, if you want to master any of the champions we talk about or any of the roles, check out the Game Week website, link down below. Of course, I mention this in every single video, but that's because our website helps thousands of students achieve their goals every single season, because our Challenger players and coaches from around the world, they upload daily videos for our subscribers. Champion courses, champion guides, high elo VOD analyses, so you can really understand what the best players in the world actually do, that you can easily do as well in your games. So check out those links down below, get that exclusive access by signing up, and let's get into the video. Now let's start by talking about the best top laners for 12.18. Now the first of these is a champion who got buffed in 12.17, this being Set. So the fact that your W's got more attack damage in it, and your face breaker, so your E, the slow is now 70%. So this means that for Set in the top lane, well, what does a 70% slow mean? It means that when you land your face breaker, the enemy champion has less chance to actually escape, right? Especially if your jungler is there as well. So it's a very powerful weapon, especially in the early game. It's not like it's scaling from 50% to 70%. It's a flat 70% slow. So this can be devastating, and this has proven to be the case with Set's win rates in the majority of elos going up at least 1 or 2%. Now the second top laner to consider picking in 12.18, well, is probably stronger than Set, just innately, and that is Darius. And he's been so broken ever since the durability meta hit the rift, and that's because Darius, in this durability meta, he loves extended fights. He loves dealing damage consistently over time, right? And that's what this meta is. If we think about champions like Azir picked in the mid lane, you've got Zeri as an AD carry, you've got Sivir. We're not really seeing one-shotty champions or even like assassins, so think about LeBlanc in the mid lane. If you think about single target damage dealers as well, maybe something like a Zoe or a Syndra, these aren't really being favored too much, and it's kind of the same thing in the top lane as well. If you're playing a bursty champion, I mean, there aren't many burst champions in the top lane, but they're just not as favored. So Darius, because he is one of those champions who deals consistent damage, is loving it because your W's low cooldown, the Conqueror stacking, the Henry stacking, and of course, as far as your mythics go, you can go Stridebreaker into range or maybe kiting compositions, or you can go Trinity Force, and you should go this most of the time because the power spike is kind of just unreal and you will snowball out of control. So Darius, second best top laner, just ahead of Set. But the best top laner, guys, for 12.18, I'm sure you guys know who this is. This is Aatrox, and it's with Eclipse. Now you don't always have to go Eclipse, but to be honest, this combination is the most powerful on Summoner's Rift and will continue to be in 12.18 as well because they're not getting nerfed. Don't know how, but they're not. But against some team compositions, you can go Gore Drinker. So if the enemy team composition has 5 melee champions, and by melee champions, I mean they might have an AD carry like Samira, for example, or even Neela, who's going to jump in your face, Gore Drinker the active is going to heal you so much. But regardless of what mythic you go, Aatrox with Ignite as well is the scariest top laner for 12.18. They're heading to the jungle, the third best jungler. I'm really not going to talk that much about him because it just annoys me, this being Master Yi. So the fact that you can choose where you appear after your alpha strike is just beyond stupid. And also the fact that Master Yi's attack range increased by 50, and that's the same thing the balance team did to Bel'Veth, this has just made him ridiculously busted. Even in higher elos where Master Yi typically struggles a bit more than lower elos, he's still killing it. And there are no nerfs to this champion in 12.18, so the Wuju Bladesman is unfortunately in the countdown. Now coming in at number 2, this is Udyr, and Udyr is getting changed in 12.18. So the Phoenix stance, Sunfire Aegis, Demonic Embrace setup is going to be worse off. But what's going to be better for Udyr, because he's getting adjusted, is the Tiger Stance Udyr, so a Q-Max. I still think your clear speed is going to be insane, you'll be healthy, and because you outduel pretty much every jungler in the game, I still think Udyr is going to be insanely strong in 12.18. Of course, we'll have to wait and see, but Udyr mains, if you are out there, let me know in the comments what you think, what you're forecasting 12.18 to look like. But Udyr and Master Yi are beaten to the number 1 position by the only AP jungler here, this being Fiddlesticks. And ever since Fiddlesticks' Crowstorm got buffed, so the base damage, the AP ratio, and your Q's feed duration increased, he has been harvesting LP for anyone playing him. So if Sorcerer Shoes, Hextech Rocket Belt, that's really all you need to dominate on this champion. Just remember, guys, if you are playing Fiddlesticks, vision is really the key to a game. So using your effigies, using control wards, and also just try not to run into fights kind of like directly. Try to flank the enemy team, so whether it's over like a Raptor wall, a Baron wall, try to use the fog to your advantage because your Crowstorm is everything, and the more unseen your Crowstorm is, the deadlier it will be. Now heading to the mid lane, 3 best champions. Third champion coming in, this is Kassadin. So if you want to play an anti-AP champion, obviously Kassadin is amazing and probably the best. And the reason Kassadin has suddenly become like good is because of the Q bus from last patch. So the mana cost, the cooldown going down, this makes it a little bit easier to navigate yourself out of the laning phase, which has always been difficult for Kassadin, especially when Riot nerfed the sustain a few patches ago, because whether you're running something like Second Wind or even just using health pots, corruptings, refills, probably not corrupting, but you catch my drift. The laning phase was a lot tougher, but these Q buffs mean that you're going to hit the level 16 point and your major item spikes with without the game being already over. So the Q buffs to Kassadin have seen his win rate increase, and this is why he's the third best mid laner. But he's beaten to number 2 by an even better magic damage mid laner, this being Vex. And honestly, Vex is probably going to be on this countdown, guys, until Riot decide to nerf her, because when they buffed her Q, so in terms of the cooldown at rank 5 points in your Q at level 9, this is down to 4 seconds. And by that point, you should have lost CHAMPS as well, so a bit of ability haste. So really, it will be on like a 3.5 second cooldown, and once you get Luden's Tempest and just more ability haste from later items, that cooldown will be less than 3 seconds. And let's not forget, they also increase the AP ratio in your Q, so your Mistral Bolt will be dealing even more damage as the game progresses. And even though Vex is a one-shotty champion, she does have great AoE, right? So if we think about her ultimate going in there, then using your W, you can fear multiple enemy champions. Like, everything is area of effect damage. So Vex is the best magic damage mid laner, but she is the number 2. So who is number 1? Well, this is the best attack damage mid laner in the game, this being Zed. And because of the buffs to Zed, so his E's energy cost going down by 10, and because of the recent buffs to Scorch, this has made Zed's laning phase incredibly potent. Also, I think that the sustain nerfs were kind of like an indirect buff to Zed, because Zed is one of the few champions in the game, if not the only champion in the game, in the mid lane anyway, who starts longsword with 3 health pots. So those 3 health pots, if we think about it, they will give him more HP back than Corrupting, than Refill, than a champion with 2 health pots and a D-ring. So this means that if you're trading with a Zed, if you don't win the trade, Zed is going to out-sustain you, and by the time he hits level 3, which is when his kill threat really goes through the roof, he is the biggest force to be reckoned with. So because of all of this, Zed is the number 1 mid laner, and he's an S+ tier champion, according to the stat websites, in every single elo in the mid lane. Now heading down to the bot lane here, let's talk about the 3 best AD carries, guys, for 12-18. And coming in at number 3, we have Samira. And ever since Riot buffed Samira's scaling, well, she's really been consistently kind of just dominating. And one of the reasons I love Samira is because she counters so many champions. If you think about a champion like Draven, right? Lots of people might ban Draven, but if you can play Samira, you can just pick Samira into Draven. And if we think about other AD carries, maybe like a Phelios, right? Your W will cancel out all of his chakrams that he's actually stacked. If we think about a champion like Kai'Sa as well, right? Your W can block all of her missiles from her Q. So there's a bunch of interactions in the bot lane that Samira is really broken against, and like I said, Riot buffing her AD scaling and the damage in her Q just makes the champion even better in the mid to late game, so she's the 3rd best AD carry. And number 2, the 2nd best AD carry, is a champion I think we're going to see so much at World, this being Caitlyn. And that's really thanks to the recent buffs to Caitlyn, so her headshots damage. Even though her trap damage may have been decreased, think about it. The number of headshots you deal just from your passive is going to be a lot more than your traps. So this is why Caitlyn's win rate, especially in higher reloads, is actually like 52-53%. This is a champion who's hard to make work, even for the best players, because your team really needs to just funnel through you because you're about stomping lane and just winning a game kind of sequentially. So if your team doesn't know how to do that, you might as well pick another AD carry. So Caitlyn is the 2nd best ADC, but the best ADC, did mention him earlier, this is Draven. So because Misfortune is getting nerfed in 12-18, this means that everyone else kind of, well, indirectly gets better, I guess, and Draven is just going to be the best out of the rest. Even though his base damage to his Q, it did get nerfed a few patches ago, but he's still performing at an extremely high level. He wins more than any other ADC in every single elo. He might be difficult to master, so of course, guys, if you do want to master Draven or any of the champs we've talked about, make sure you check out our guides on our Game Week website. But with an Eclipse, with an Essence Reaver, the lethality, the Spellblade passive, the damage, the ability haste, the crit strike, everything in these items, it's too good right now. That's why Draven's number 1. Now, of course, the last role, this is the support role, and guys, if you do want these videos to continue, please remember to leave a like down below to let us know. And the 3rd best support, if you want to play a champion who's going to, well, pose a big threat to the enemy bot lane, especially if they make mistakes, then Amumu will catch them out better than anyone else. So remember, when Amumu got his Q's mana cost buffed a few patches ago, this brought the green Q back on the map. And because lots of champions you probably play against in the bot lane are going to be ranged champions, that's just how the game is at the moment. So if we think about champions maybe like Yuumi and Janna and Lulu, Amumu, if you can land one bandage toss, probably means you're going to land the next, because you get it 3 seconds after, and when you hit level 6, Curse the Sad Mummy, it's all but over for the enemy bot lane. So Amumu is the 3rd best support, and the stats also back this up. Now the number 2 support, this is Janna. And ever since Riot kind of changed Janna, I can't remember a countdown that I've done in Season 12 without a Janna on it. This is because her Q, well, the speed of it just travels quicker, and with Glacial, well, she's just an even better peeler and just incredibly hard and just annoying to play against. It's very hard to kill her and the carries next to her, and just like Amumu, the ridiculous win rate of Janna, even though she got like 3-4 nerfs a few patches ago, she is still a premier pick and a premier support. But the best support, because of the recent change to Zyra's E, where the lockout, so after you cast your E, you don't just have to stand in place and wait for the animation to finish. This has made Zyra even better. She was good before that because of the sustain changes, right? Because Zyra's more of like a poke-based support. The plant damage, if you're running something like Scorch and Comet as well, and once you get Leandra's Anguish, the enemy champions you hit are just going to feel your presence a lot more. And because you're locked out of your E for less time these days, this means more kills and less deaths as well. So Zyra is the best support out of everyone, and I'm talking about every single elo. So those were the 3 best champions, guys, for each role in 12-18. Let us know any thoughts, any comments you have, any questions down below. And until our next season 12 video, this has been a peace.